What's going on, YouTube? This is Damien, aka Tattoo Guy 420. Today I wanted to do a quick video in regards to Bars aluminum radiator quick stop. Now I know there's a lot of people out there saying never put that quick stop leak stuff into your car. It gums everything up. It makes your car overheat, so on and so forth. But let me be the first to tell you, bullshit. I own a 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with the old-fashioned 4.0 straight six motors you can't blow up. I had a brand new radiator put into this truck about 6 months ago. All new hoses, all new lines to the transmission, everything. I thought I was good to go for the winter. Well, up until about 4 days ago, everything seemed fine. Then all of a sudden, my heat stopped working. I was like, what's going on? Now, it wasn't your normal no heat whatsoever, just blowing straight cold air. It was the whole start the car, put it on the heat or the defroster, and you get nothing but cold air. But when I went out driving and got up to like highway speeds, my heat would kick back on. So now it started to raise a concern as to why my heat was messing up. So I started doing some research, thinking, hey, maybe it's the blend doors and they're not operating, so they're not letting the hot air in. Or the typical, my heater core is crapped out, time to get a new one, time to spend $500-600 to get a new one put in, blah, 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 blah. Then I started doing a little more research, and I decided to check my coolant levels. Now, my backup reservoir, that's located underneath my hood, was completely to the fill line. It was perfect. So I started checking everything else. I checked my upper hose. It was squishy, no tension to it, nothing. Checked my lower hose. It was hard. I'm like, okay, what could possibly be going on? Checked my water pump to see if it was leaking. Nothing. Checked my thermostat housing to see if it was leaking. Nothing. So I did the one thing people don't usually check. I checked my radiator cap. Went to put my hand on the radiator cap, ice cold. So I opened up my radiator. No pressure behind it, nothing. No coolant in it. So I went to my local gas station, spent the ridiculous amount of $18 for a gallon of antifreeze, threw it in my radiator. Within about a minute, I'm blowing nice hot air. So I'm like, okay, everything's cool. So I go driving around for a little bit, get home, turn my truck off, walk around the front, I see I'm dripping antifreeze. I'm like, what the fuck? So I pop my cap again, see that I'm running low on antifreeze. So the following day, first thing in the morning, I run over to my buddy's. He gets underneath the truck, looks at it, he's like, oh, I just think it's leaking from your lower hose, getting air in your system, that's why your upper hose is soft. Let me tighten it up, you should be good to go. He tightens it up, topped it off with some coolant, and everything seemed fine for a few hours. Head off to work, I park my truck for a couple hours, come back out, I got a puddle of antifreeze underneath my truck. I'm like, what the fuck? So, I take it to one of those franchise fucking places. I'm not going to mention the name, not trying to get any infringement or anything like that. They throw my truck up in the air. They're like, you got a crack in your radiator. I'm like, where? They're like, yeah, you cracked the plastic on your driver's side on your radiator underneath your transmission line. Brings me under, shows me it's just pissing. I'm like, great. I was like, so what should I do? Do I need a new radiator? Can it be fixed? He's like, you're going to need a new radiator. $756 after parts and labor, he wants to tell me. I'm like, I don't make money like that. I ain't freaking some rich dude. I mean, I drive an '03 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I got 3 kids to worry about. So I start going here on YouTube, looking up videos on how to repair it, how to stop the leak, and I come across quite a few videos in regards to this Bars aluminum stop leak. So I start researching it. I'm hearing mixed reviews, people saying, oh, it'll gum up the works, this and that. But what they refuse to tell you is the one that has a tendency of jacking up your engine is the Bars head gasket stop leak. Because they fail to tell you that if you got a blown head gasket and it turned around and it put a crack in your block or in your cylinder wall, that stuff's going to get in there. It's going to gum up that crack. It's going to prevent your pistons from going up and down like they should smoothly and keep them lubricated properly, which is going to turn around, overheat your motor, and then seize your motor up. Now, the Bars aluminum radiator stop leak, on the other hand, as long as you don't have any motor issues, all it's doing is running through the outer wall of your engine, plugging up any possible scoring to smooth out the interior of that, plugging up any hole, and most of all, fixing any possible minor radiator leak that you may have that can be fixed without, well, temporarily, should I say, without completely replacing your radiator. So, I went to Walmart, spent $6.47 before tax on a good bottle of Bars aluminum radiator stop leak. Went home, waited for my truck to cool down for about an hour and a half, threw this stuff in. Now, warning, when you put this stuff in your radiator, make sure you shake it up. It has a very gummy texture to it. It's like a very thick gel texture to it. So, if you don't shake it up, it's going to be very thick like paste, and it's going to give you issues going into your radiator. Me, I came across that issue by accident because I didn't sit there shaking it for 5 freaking minutes. I just shook it for about 30 seconds and started to pour. But I solved my issue by pouring a little bit in, a little more antifreeze to push it through. Kept on doing it until I got towards the end of the bottle. Then I started my truck up. Now, I use the same concept as if you were flushing your radiator. You flush your radiator, you start the truck up with the cap off, it pulls all the air out, runs everything through the system. That's how I completed the cycle with the Bars aluminum stop leak. I did that till the whole bottle was in my 6-cylinder. Now, if you got a 4-cylinder with no AC, only use half a bottle. Otherwise, you will take the chance of clogging up your heater core. But if you have a 4-cylinder, like a higher liter, like 2.0 or higher liter 4-cylinder with an AC, you're good to use the whole bottle because you have a bigger radiator. And the condenser allows you, for some reason, to add more. Same thing with all 6 cylinders and V8s, full bottle. Now, I finished pouring the bottle in, closed my radiator cap, let it run for about a minute, shut my truck off, popped the cap on the radiator again, and topped it off with coolant. Now, after doing that, I replaced the cap back on and let my truck idle for about 10 to 15 minutes. After 10 to 15 minutes, my leak was completely gone. Now, since I've done this, I've driven around probably about 150 miles. My heat has worked beautifully. No overheating issues. No leaks, not even a single freaking drop. Nothing. Now, I'm not suggesting if you got a radiator leak, put this stuff in and your issue's resolved. This is a temporary fix. Use this stuff if you got a radiator leak, put it in, temporarily stop the leak, then, as soon as you possibly can, or until the funds become available to you, if you're on a lower budget like me, replace your radiator. Now, remember, to notify your mechanic when you have your radiator replaced, because I know they hate this stuff. Any mechanic you go to will tell you never throw this shit in your car. Yet it's guaranteed up to 5 years. They swear by full money back guarantee, which means that if something happens to your motor due to putting this stuff in, I don't know, I can't specifically say, but with that guarantee, they may or may not be held liable for it. So it's worth the shot. But make sure you tell your mechanic that you put it in your radiator, so that when they replace your radiator, they properly flush it all out of your system. Then once your new radiator is replaced, you're like brand new. So I figured I'd stop by today, you fellow YouTubers, and let you know my experience in regards to this stop leak, the bar's aluminum stop leak, and tell you that I had a good experience. If anything changes within the next 300 to 500 miles, I'll be sure to let you know, because I know I'll definitely be putting that on my truck before I have that radiator replaced. I got another few days until it's getting done, so I'll keep you guys posted. But until then, if you got a leak in your antifreeze line or your radiator and you need a quick fix until you can get that radiator replaced, try Bar's aluminum radiator stop leak. Did good for me. Hopefully it'll do good for you. Have a good one, YouTubers.